Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about 5th edition, and we're specifically going to talk about Strixhaven and the absolute magnificent scope of this book. Just how incredibly large and expansive it is. And specifically, we're going to talk about the 4-year Strixhaven college experience, and we're going to talk about that taking you from 1st level to 10th level. It's huge. All right. That is major. There's a lot there, so let's jump into this. So first of all, I really think Strixhaven is essentially like a turning point, right? So let's do a little bit of math here. I think the first 47 years of Dungeons & Dragons were dedicated. So, I think Dungeons & Dragons is split into the 3 core pillars, right? So combat, interaction, exploration. And I am convinced, in my humble opinion, Gary knew what was coming. He knew that people would receive this as a game and that they would focus on combat because that's where human beings were, right? Now, I believe human beings are very, very much, violence it's antiquated, and it almost never happens anymore. It's growing extremely uncommon, right? Now, it might seem to you that it's very common. The only reason it seems to you that it's even more common, there's no question, the numbers are way down, right? Crime is going down across the board in all over America, right? Everywhere. The only reason it doesn't seem that way is every time every time there's any violence, it's completely covered by, in incredibly high detail, by the news media. Here's a good example, right? Vietnam. My father fought in Vietnam. He's a Vietnam soldier, right? In Vietnam, there were 50,000 Americans who came back 50,000 American soldiers who came back in body bags, right? Like the number was so high. There wasn't a news story every time there was a soldier that died. That's completely changed now, right? Like, we just finished our first war, our Afghanistan war. There was not a single MIA for that entire war. That's the first time in history, right? We are fundamentally changing. War it's essentially mastered, and it's really no more. There's really no more wars. There's just some skirmishes that the media says are wars, right? Like, it's incredibly minor, and the reality is the vast majority. Like right now, Russia's amassed on the border of Ukraine. You know what Biden's saying? Harsh sanctions, buddy. And he's just saying, hey, I'll give you the price tag if you want to go invade that place, right? Like, have at it, right? Because that's the only thing you're going to pay is dollars. That's it. That's the cost. And guess what? You can bet, you can bet that when you say, hey, the price of this land is this many dollars, you know where that's going to end, right? So the reality is, we have definitely arrived in this place where where combat, that pillar, it's kind of meaningless in our world, right? There's absolutely spikes of combat and all over the world, but overall the numbers are war, theft, robbery, murder, all of it. It's going way, way down, right? I understand the perception is that it's higher. It's not. The numbers are. It's going down, right? That people live today, across the world. People used to live 40 years. In 100 years, we all lived to 80, right? We doubled our lifespan. Things are getting better. I know it doesn't seem that way because, the media is, mad dedicated to terrifying you constantly, but everything is getting better. And combat is it's a relic. It's pretty almost forgotten at this point. Fighter jets, what are those for? Who knows, right? We live in a fundamentally different world, right? So the first 47 years of Dungeons & Dragons was combat. I think Strixhaven opens the next 47 years, right? So until 2058, okay, we are going to be dealing with Dungeons & Dragons. And this is, in my opinion, I think Gary saw this. I think he saw where this was all heading and why he built the game in the way he did. So until 2058, I think we're going to really deal with the interaction column, right? And Strixhaven is the first book to really deal with interaction at the mechanical level that we've dealt with combat, right? And say, we're going to put real numbers behind this. There's going to be real, real actual power in interactive characters, to the point where if they even see somebody succeed at a combat skill, this interaction character is going to shut them down, right? And benefit themselves for it. The Silvery Barbs is a shout to the world. Combat is finished. We're done mastering that in Dungeons and Dragons. We are now moving on to master interaction, right? And then I think from 2058, right? And then 40 years, that to be 2098, and then 7 years beyond that, it'll be until 2105. So from 2058 to 2105 is going to be the exploration expansion of Dungeons and Dragons. Now, why will exploration be important then, right? Well, I'll tell you why. Because at that point, we will have what we need to truly explore every dark corner of this earth. Like our submarines will be way better. Like personal people will probably own nuclear-powered submarines, right? Go wherever they want. They can go, like people will be able to go vacation in the Marianas Trench, in 2059 in their own personal nuclear sub, right? And we'll have multiple colonies on Mars, multiple colonies on the moon, multiple colonies on Mars, and we'll probably be expanding to Venus at that point, right? And that's when exploration will be matched, right? Because we as humans are now dealing with our interaction much more. We're like, hitting each other with sticks and throwing slugs at each other with tools for that. That's stupid. What do we need that for? Blah, whatever, right? And so it's old hat, right? And so Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition players are like, oh yeah, I see the world for what it is. I'm not going to focus on something that's silly and done, right? Like, I'm going to focus on human interaction, which is the new, and actually language, which is the new battlefield, right? Like it's where work gets done, and it's where the greatest debates are happening. And so Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition is this vehicle, this really unique vehicle that allows charismatic, confident, intelligent people to focus on the things that matter today, right? And so Strixhaven is this incredible gauntlet thrown down saying, combat's finished, we're done with that, in the game. It's not that it's not there, it's that it's completed, right? You have everything you need to make powerful combat builds, but we don't have that for our interaction builds, and we're now doing that. So the Strixhaven book is incredibly important from a historical perspective. And the real champion, the person who looked at Gary Gygax's legacy and said, okay, we mastered dungeons, now we're going to show everybody dragons, right? We've mastered combat, now we're really going to focus on interaction. The person who understands Gary Gygax's legacy best today is Amanda Heyman, right? And she's saying, I see you, Gary. Thanks for giving us that first 47 years. I'll carry the ball forward, and make sure that your legacy shines, right? And every single 5th edition book has Gary's name right in it, right? Saying this is his legacy, right? Because it's his true legacy. Gary Gygax's true legacy is Strixhaven, right? It's what's being created now, right? And what's carrying forward what he always knew the game would be, right? Which is really an engine to help humanity, right? It's a human help engine, right? So you have all this, right? And the thing that really astounds me is, like, in order to get this done, they are doing with Strixhaven, what they're doing with Strixhaven is they're saying, hey, all right, Strixhaven, let's get this done. 4 years in college, so basically, and this is amazing, college is this incredibly unique time in life, right? Where you're saying, hey, you go off for 4 years, leave your family, eat whatever you want, study whatever you want, be with whoever you want, build friendships in the ways you want to build friendships, choose beloveds in the way that you want to choose beloveds. No distractions, just learning. It's an incredible time in IRL. I look back at my 4 years at Millersville University quite fondly. They were really unique and special. I will never forget them, right? But the reality is, basically everybody who's been to college and knows how awesome it is and had the full dorm experience, right? I think they're going to be anxious to revisit that with the exciting, expansive fantasy elements, right? The dungeon, and actually not fantasy elements. Fantasy is dead. Dungeons and Dragons is the progenitor of it, right? Dungeons and Dragons is the butterfly that's emerged. Fantasy is done. Dungeons and Dragons is fantasy in America now. So with the Dungeons and Dragons element, college with Dungeons and Dragons, yes, please. And then people who have not had that opportunity, or even worse, people who can't have that opportunity. I can tell you right now, college is more expensive than it's ever been. And there are people who are like, I don't have what I need to get there. I can't have this experience, right? Some of them are staying at home and commuting, which, I'm glad they're getting their education, but that's a real loss, right? Like the ability to just go and be in a place for 4 years and do nothing but study what you care about the most is truly, I can't tell you what a special, truly unique, truly wonderful experience it is. And to have that with Dungeons and Dragons is incredible. It is just so powerful and unique and special. And the idea also that people who can't go to college, but they can afford, they can get the essentials kit, and then they can get, have $80 to their name, that they can go to college for 4 years in this really unique, special way is incredible. Also, this is taking you from level 1 to 10. Just the sheer, this book is important, and Wizards of the Coast really giving it everything it needed to be important, and actually making the backgrounds in Strixhaven, there's no debate. They are more powerful than any background printed in any book ever, right? They make all the other backgrounds pretty much, if you're going to weigh them, if you're not going to pick them for theme, you don't pick anything but this now. And Wizards of the Coast said that, saying, the reason these backgrounds are more powerful than anything you've ever seen in any other book is this is the new era. The combat era is done. The interaction era is starting. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.